Welcome back to Good Morning Let's Basketball. Before we get into the video this week, a quick shout out to Miles. A huge thank you to him. He's been helping us with behind the scenes work. He made the thumbnail for this week's video, and for the intro and outro beats for all our videos, he's made those. His YouTube channel is Mike Miles 8192. Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel for beats. Tell your mom about his beats too. I'm going to pop up his channel on the screen right here. I will also link his YouTube channel in every video's description. You can check it out there as well. Now let's get into today's video. Spurs and Wembanyama. The Spurs got the first pick. How do you guys feel about that? Did you guys think the draft was rigged like everybody's saying with the Spurs? Or
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, when I was watching the lottery at my cousin's house that day, and Spurs had I remember there was 3 teams tied to have first pick, and they're one of the teams. I mean, they were one of the worst teams in the NBA this year. I believe they only had 14, 15 wins. They've had two first round picks, 2 first picks previously before, and with those picks they got Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So if they do take Wembanyama, which I'm pretty freaking sure they are, I mean, you'd be kind of stupid if he didn't. Hopefully he can follow in the footsteps of those. But I was kind of hoping. I remember seeing the other teams. I'm kind of glad Charlotte or Houston didn't get the first pick, just because those teams aren't very good. They don't really have a bright future, and the player development isn't totally there. I remember seeing a clip when the Rockets got the 4th pick. Wembanyama was fist pumping. The camera was on him, so he definitely didn't want to go there either. Shit, I wouldn't want to either. The Rockets just don't have a future. The player development is just horrible. And a team that I kind of want to see get the first pick was Portland. I feel like that would have been a good squad for him to go to if Damian Lillard stays there or not. I know there's rumors that I've seen. I don't think he is either. I mean, I feel like he's finally going to get traded eventually. But a team that I saw him get rumored traded to was Miami. I remember there was talks about it last year and 2 years ago too, especially during the bubble, that Lillard, a potential landing spot for him could be Miami. I think that'd be pretty good for next year too, because Kyle Lowry's kind of getting older, and he's kind of he's a good playmaker out there. He doesn't really score too much. They don't really need him to do that. But if they can get someone else that can play make and score at a high level like Damian Lillard, they can definitely put Miami over that edge to make the finals and win.
No, I saw something crazy too, that they wanted to maybe trade their pick and use that pick to build around Damian Lillard. They were thinking about that as well. Which
I think the problem with that is just that Damian Lillard doesn't want to stay there anymore. I mean, he definitely wants to continue his career in a place where he's built, or I don't know, where he's built himself up so much. But I don't know. I don't see him staying there.
No, I think he might go somewhere else either. I mean, Miami would be cool too, like Kevin said. Maybe Philly.
Philly could be a spot too, obviously, because Harden expressing that he might leave. There's a possibility it goes back to Houston, but I feel like Miami would be probably the most potential for him to land, because they have a lot of players that they can trade that have a lot of good role players. Some of the players that they had in the trade idea was Hero, Strus, and Vincent, and I think maybe a pick or a couple picks for Lillard and someone else on their team. But if Portland can get it done, I think they definitely should. I mean, I think the idea of Damian Lillard being able to lead them to a championship in Portland, the idea is kind of dead. I mean, he's only getting older. They don't really have time to build around him, especially with their pick that they have, or if they would want to trade it, how good of a player can they get with a 3rd pick? Because you don't know who that team wants to draft, if that player is even going to be good, if it's even going to be worth it. So, like I said, I feel like their best bet is definitely sending Lillard off to Miami for some of those key role players that Miami could have. But I feel like that kind of hurt Miami too, because those role players are very important for them. Schultz and Vincent have been amazing in the playoffs.
They've been killing.
Are you saying Damian Lillard on Miami without Jimmy Butler or with?
With Jimmy Butler.
I don't think that would work out at all. I think that would be a horrible idea. But.
I mean, I feel like it would, just because, like I said, he provides that playmaking as well as being able to score at a high level, and we obviously know what Jimmy Butler can do.
Yeah.
Caleb Martin has been playing out of his mind these playoffs. I think he's the leading scorer off the bench. Right? He was top 2, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wembanyama to the Spurs, back to what we were originally talking about. I feel like that was probably the best landing spot for him out of any of the lottery teams, especially the teams that made it to the top 4. It's because knowing the history of their previous number 1 picks, just the team's history overall, they have a winning culture. Popovich is probably one of still the best coach, if not one of the best coaches in the NBA as well. Like they have really good player development too. I mean, they developed Kawhi to basically like what he is in today. When he first joined the NBA, he was mostly a defensive-minded player. I mean, he was able to score, but not at the level that he's able to right now. So they built him up pretty good. And also just players that they've had in the past. DeJounte Murray, he started his career off in San Antonio, and he's turned out to be a pretty good player. And when he came to the league, he wasn't the greatest defender. Now he's like one of the better on-ball defenders in the league. So I think San Antonio is definitely one of the best landing spots for him. He seemed pretty excited to go there. They drafted a Frenchman himself, Tony Parker, in the past. So they have history of drafting some French players. Not like it matters. It's just kind of cool to think about.
Well, yeah, it definitely does matter. Like, what's his name? Victor Wembanyama.
Let's just call him Wemby for the sake of this
Okay,
discussion.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But what's it called? Wemby was doing an interview and he was like, "No, yeah, it's really exciting for me, my family, and all of like France because, like you said, they've drafted a couple French players before, and they've all, I think, for the most part, turned out decently. So yeah, it pretty much is like the best situation for not only him as like a player coming into the NBA, because it would have sucked to me if he would have gotten stuck in Detroit or, like you said, Houston or something like that. Just because it's a bad situation. But on the Spurs, he's with arguably the most experienced coach in the NBA,
And on top of that,
and in a good organization.
and on top of that, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan said that they're gonna help mentor him and coach him.
Yeah.
So
That's what I was gonna say. Is
Yeah.
Manu Ginobili French too, or
no,
not?
he's from I think Argentina.
He's an
Okay,
Argentinian guy.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, so they're gonna help mentor him, and I think that'll be great for his career and his longevity. And I'm excited to watch him play. But his stats in the league he plays in is 21.6 points per game. He has 2.4 assists and 10.4 rebounds a game and 3 blocks. So do you guys think that this is a lot of hype coming in, or like, cause he looks like a 2K demigod, you know? That's what
Yeah.
2K patched a long time ago. This is finally, we're finally seeing a demigod come into the NBA. This kid could really do it all. He's a unicorn, and I'm excited to see him play. I hope he does good. But do you think that maybe he's too hyped up, or do you think that the hype's like accurate?
Every year in the draft, there's always that one player that everyone's like, "Oh, like this is the guy. Like this guy's next." Fortunately for him, like we have every reason to believe that. I mean, just look at him. I mean, I don't know if you guys ever like watched team play. I remember back in, I believe it was like in during the fall, like November, his team played G League Ignite, was Scoot Henderson's team. I remember just seeing him on the court and the way he was moving. I was like, okay, like I see what the hype around this guy. Because I would see the videos like on Instagram and TikTok, and those were just highlights of him playing.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch this game and I'm gonna see like how he moves and like what's the hype? Because I don't want to buy into it before like I've ever like watched a kid play, especially because like he plays overseas, like the games don't get televised like that. Yeah. So they set up that game with G League Ignite to obviously like showcase him and Scoot Henderson, also another potential top 3 pick in this draft. And I remember when the game started, like it was just insane. Like he started right away. He started off hot. He's pulling threes from 3-4 feet back from the line, hitting them the way he was moving. He's doing dribble moves. He was blocking shots. He was passing well. He was rebounding. He was being aggressive. And I was like, all right, I definitely see why people are very high on this guy. Yeah. And like I said, how can you not be? The skills are there. I mean, he's 7'5", but plays like a guard. He moves well. He's not obviously he's kind of a skinny guy. It's hard to put on size when you're 7'5", yeah. But he's not like skin to the bone. He's got a little bit of like cut in size on him. And obviously the kid's only 18 years old as he's in the NBA and he's with those advanced trainers and teams and player development. He's going to be able to put on a decent amount of size. Obviously he doesn't want too much, but I feel like the biggest thing is can he stay healthy? Yeah. I don't know what his past is with injuries. I don't know if he's ever had like a major injury or dealt with anything like that crazy, but that's the biggest thing because looking at the history of unicorns, they've never worked out. Yeah. Porzingis is a very solid player in today's league, but when he got drafted and like his rookie season, a lot of people were expecting a lot more. He did have that major injury to his knee, his like second, third year in the league, which I feel like definitely has something to do, but he's still a very solid player. Mm-hmm. He's averaging over 20 points for the Wizards, good defender. So yeah, that's the main thing. Can he stay healthy? Because we know he can move.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say was I think I haven't heard anything about him having injuries or anything. And I've seen videos. He takes his stretching very serious. And I think he takes his body very serious as well. He wants to be healthy. He wants to play good basketball. And I remember seeing a video too that he said that once he comes into, he's waiting to build his body up to see a team to get him drafted, and they're gonna have a workout plan, and he's gonna get his weight up. And what's crazy too is, like you said, he's 7'4". He's not that skinny. Like, he's skinny, but he's not that
Yeah.
skinny. I looked it up. He's 7'4", and I think he's 240.
240.
So when Giannis entered the league, he was 6'9", 190. So that's kind of a little bit crazy. That puts it into perspective. So if he gets built like Giannis, ooh man, that would be
crazy
scary,
if
bro.
he's able to put on the size like that. What's crazy is that, like, Giannis, like you said, came in the league 6'9". So did KD. I believe he came in the league 6'9", and now they're both 7-footers. So he could still grow more.
Yeah.
Which I kind of hope he doesn't. You do not need to be taller than 7'5", especially in the NBA, because I remember you guys know the YouTuber Jimmy High Roller.
Yeah.
Still makes elite videos. He actually made a video 2 days ago called "The Harsh Truth" about Victor Wembanyama. I didn't see it, but he's made videos in the past about Victor Wembanyama. And yeah, we definitely do. But I remember in a previous video he said he just looked at players in the past that were taller than 7'3", and none of them had NBA careers that were like longer than like 10 years. Yao Ming was probably the most notable. He had a great NBA career, but it got cut short because of injuries.
He was also built like a tank too.
Yeah,
like,
he was
built well for being a 7-footer.
He was a lot bigger of a body, so I feel like he had a lot of like foot injuries.
Yeah.
So he wasn't able to get up and down the court. But Victor Wembanyama is a completely different player. Like Giannis was, or not Giannis. Yao Ming was sit on the block, back down. Like he was like a bruiser pretty much.
Right.
He could also shoot pretty well, but Victor Wembanyama plays like very different. But that's also pretty scary because he runs a lot more. He makes a lot of moves, drives to the basket. So
I think because you said is Wemby overhyped? I don't think he's overhyped. I think there's a reasonable amount of hype around a player like that 7 foot that has handles like KD and can shoot the ball like anybody in the NBA currently. It's obviously going into the next season, it's scary if you're another team. But I think, like you guys said, his health, him being over 7 foot, if you just look at previous years and just sports in general, sometimes over the top physical fitness ultimately leads to like a player's not being as good, whether it's they're too tall or whether it's they're overly sized with muscle or whatever and they can't move as well. It's to me dangerous when you have a 7-footer like that that's coming into the NBA, not only trying to be healthy, but also I feel like it's a big deal when you're that big of a prospect for other NBA players to say, okay, I'm going to stick it to this guy just because he's the #1 prospect. And it's not like they're going to injure him or anything like that. I just would think that their level of intensity going into certain games is probably going to be up a little bit. And that'll make them want to guard Wemby a little bit tighter, not let him get as many shots up, and possibly could lead to more intense physical games, which leads to him getting injured, which that's the reason why I'm mostly worried about Wemby. And I think in the last few podcasts, I was kind of joking around being a hater, being like, Wemby won't be shit, this and that. He'll obviously be good, but I think there's so many variables going into his downfall. It's going to be really tough for him to truly succeed in the NBA, but we'll see.
Definitely, I mean, those veterans do like to stick it to like a lot of the younger guys and rookies. I mean, we saw Lonzo Ball's first NBA game, Patrick Beverley just being a menace.
Yeah.
And also, like, NBA players, like, everyone knows who this guy is, obviously. The NBA players are very aware of who's coming into the league. So they're going to take advantage if they ever, like, switch on to him, guarding him. They're going to want to show him up because he's going to get dunked on. He's going to get bodied. Of course, it happens to everybody. But when it happens, you're going to see it all over Instagram.
Yeah.
When Joel Embiid dunks on him for the first time, it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
He's going to yell in his face. So I don't know. He seems like a pretty level-headed kid, good kid. So I feel like he wants to be good. He wants to succeed. So I feel like he'll be good. But, what I'm going to hate is, let's say if he doesn't have an exceptional rookie year like everyone's expecting him to have, being MVP pretty much, people are going to be quick to label him a bust. That's how they are with every single draft pick. Yeah. So say if like he doesn't win rookie of the year, or if he doesn't average over, let's say 25 points, people are already going to call him a bust. That's just because people are haters.
People are going to call him a bust after 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, waste of a pick, this and that. Like, you can't call a player a bust up until like they're already a veteran, 5-6 years in the league. Then you can start saying it. Even then, like, there's a couple late bloomers.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry was a late bloomer. He didn't make an all-star till he was think damn near 30 years old. He's 38 now, but he played on a lot of teams and had a lot of years in the NBA before he was able to make it as an all-star. And a couple other players too, like DeMar DeRozan. He was kind of a late bloomer. So I'm not saying
Curry didn't win his first championship till he was 30.
28.
28.
Yeah, Curry was a little bit late bloomer. He started popping off more like when he was in his mid-20s, but he spent like a year or two in college. He dealt with a lot of injuries earlier in his career. His ankles weren't able to hold up, and a lot of teams were scared, but turned out just fine, if you ask me.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, I mean,
I heard the reason why he got like he was able to recover from those injuries was he built his core strength and he focused on his legs and built that up, and that's what helped him sustain from getting injured again.
Yeah, pretty much. So if Wemby can, like you said, stay consistent with your stretches, building up his body, meal plans, not load managing, I feel like he can have a long, very long, successful NBA career. But yeah, another player in this draft that I'm actually really excited for, who I think would definitely be the #1 pick if Wemby wasn't in this draft, is Scoot Henderson. Like I mentioned earlier, that game when G League Ignite played Wemby's team back in the fall, he looked just as impressive. Like I remember there was a couple times where Wemby would switch on to him and he'd be guarding him, and he took him every single time. I mean, he shot a step back three over Victor Wembanyama and he made it. I think he actually made two. Like he was not scared. I don't know if you guys ever seen pictures of him, but he's like 6'5" and he's built like a linebacker.
Yeah, bro.
He is massive.
I saw
I'm like so excited to watch this dude play in the NBA. I mean, a lot of people have compared him to like
Zion.
the same aggression as like Westbrook. Like he's very aggressive in the way he drives. He's a big kid. I mean, he's a big young kid. I think, like I said, if Wemby wasn't in this draft, I think this kid easily would have been #1 pick. I mean, he wasn't shying away from the spotlight at all when they were playing Wemby's team. I think he's going to be great. And well, Steph Curry also will be training him too and mentoring him. Yeah. So I feel like that's why not?
I think Curry wants to build under his brand. He wants to have a team of athletes, and he's gonna help mentor him. And I think it would be great for his career and stuff. He's gonna learn from Curry.
Is there a chance that Scoot would go to the Warriors?
No, the Warriors don't have a top. I don't think they have a lottery pick, no.
No, they don't.
But like trade maybe for him. Like long term, do you think Curry's trying to do what Le GM is doing, which is kind of having your pick of the litter going into the next decade, basically?
No, I don't think they're gonna trade for him. I can't see that happening. But like quickly into his stats though, for the G League, he's averaging 17.6 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, and 6.6 assists. So he's playing pretty good in the G League. I think he'll do good in the NBA as well. And I was gonna say something, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Wemby is gonna have, like we've been saying, just a tough time adjusting to the media attention, because I would say he's easily the biggest prospect in basketball ever. I think he's bigger than Zion. I think he's bigger than LeBron. Yeah. I think he's genuinely the biggest prospect ever that we've ever seen in basketball.
See, it's hard to kind of like compare those two because social media wasn't around back then. But LeBron was huge coming out of high school. He was in his junior year. He was on the cover of that one magazine. I think it's Slam.
Yeah, he was on the cover of Slam.
Yeah. But the statement still applies, because like LeBron was big for his age. Wemby's big for our age. You know what I mean? Like Zion was pretty big, but this is a whole new level of thing. This is like, oh, this guy has to be a 3-time champion in the next 5 years, or else he's a bum. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of hype and a lot of request and hope that are going into this one player.
Well, what's crazy too is that they had those for LeBron as well, and he met all those expectations and exceeded.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy. Like that's just crazy that he, like, day one coming into the NBA, they were like, "Hey, you got to do this or you're a bust," and he lived up to it.
Yeah.
So respect to him, man.
No, he had a lot. LeBron had a lot of anticipations coming into the league. Like they're like, "Oh, this kid could be the next GOAT," and he is. I mean, he's definitely, if depending on who you ask, the greatest basketball player of all time. And I think definitely him and LeBron are probably the two biggest, most exciting prospects we've ever seen. If you ask Draymond Green, of course, he spoke on his podcast and he was like, "No, LeBron's definitely the #1 podcast." I think Draymond needs to zip up LeBron's pants a little bit and hop off.
Stop
Yeah,
me, Brian.
he's gonna get rid of his dick riding license.
He really, I'm telling you, he
Yeah,
really
it's
wants
bad,
to
bro.
be on that banana boat going forward.
He does.
He
Yeah,
really
yeah,
does.
he'll find his way. I don't think he'll leave the Warriors to go to the Lakers. I mean, Steve Kerr said himself the other day, like when they lost, he was like, without Draymond here in these next 3 years, like we're not going to win the championship. So they want to bring Draymond back. So I think that definitely answers the question of who would
It's such cap.
who would be the first of the big three to go. I feel like it'd be Clay. But yeah, Draymond definitely thinks that LeBron is a bigger prospect than Wembanyama. But like you said, with social media and today, like we're seeing like a lot of just the way social media is today. Like it's gonna like prospects now are gonna be like you're gonna hear about them a lot more
Yeah.
and just see a lot more stuff about them just because.
Wait, you think out of the big three, you think Clay would be the first to go?
Probably.
Do you think so too?
And that's tough. I'm leaning more towards Draymond, but then again, he's a big part of that Warriors team. He's the voice for them.
He is,
And-
but isn't Clay too?
I
Not
do. I
really,
feel
I
like
guess,
I
yeah.
feel like if you're gonna go like with voice and
Yeah.
impact in the locker room, it's Draymond, then Curry. Clay
Clay, you don't hear anything about Clay. All you see
is
the
Game
pictures.
6.
Yeah, I mean,
Him
like
sitting in the corner.
I feel like with the championships, obviously they needed all three of those guys, but
Yeah.
they could have possibly have won all those championships or a few of them without Clay. I don't think they would have won any of those championships without Draymond.
Yeah, and
so
I
it's
agree
just,
with-
it's just prioritized.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
This is just weird for me because I feel like when we have like our conversations outside of like the podcast, I feel like you guys don't say that. I feel
Bro,
like you
no.
guys.
I
Well, okay, no. I guess you guys have never driven.
I think we say it, you just
It goes right out the other ear. Yeah. Okay, good. No, I don't know. I think I could have sworn like we had conversations about Draymond, and you know he's not. I'm just happy that you guys agree with me actually, because I 100% agree with that. I think that
Bro, I thought you were just.
I think Draymond is a huge key piece to that Warriors team. But yeah, I definitely thought you guys would have said Clay, so that's surprising to me. But I don't know.
no, I mean he performed well in the finals, like when they beat Cleveland all those years. And when they beat the Celtics last year, Clay played pretty well. I mean, he hit a lot of big shots. But you know, Curry also played very well. Jordan Poole was playing good.
Yeah.
Not this past season. But like I said, I feel like Clay is just a little bit more replaceable in those instances than Draymond Green is.
Yeah.
Just because Draymond Green did a lot of stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet.
Right.
Like you said, banging down low, calling out plays, setting screens.
Yeah.
That's a lot more replaceable than find someone else that can hit threes off the screen. Obviously, finding someone else that can do it effective as Klay Thompson, very tough. He's arguably he is a top 5 shooter of all time, but it's more likely.
Yeah,
it's a lot more likely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, getting into talks of these NBA playoffs. I mean, we're in the final stages of who we're going to see in the NBA Finals. Denver Nuggets did sweep the Los Angeles Lakers. Definitely, they're what seemed like what I think their easiest matchup in the playoffs so far. I mean, they didn't even sweep Minnesota.
Yeah.
I know Minnesota got a game on them. They had a good time with Phoenix. I think they went to 6, I believe. And then obviously playing the Lakers. I remember saying I definitely thought Denver was going to beat the Lakers, but I was like, it's not going to be easy. But I feel like they could probably go to 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Now the games, it definitely wasn't easy. All the games were relatively close that I remember, but they still swept them in the conference finals. To sweep a team in the conference finals is pretty impressive. Like the 2 teams are in the conference finals for reasons. The fact that you swept the team in the conference finals says a lot. This Denver Nuggets team, I think, just has way too much offense.
Yeah.
1 through 5, they're so strong. All the role players are just very strong. The players that they got coming off the bench, they're putting out. Jamal Murray's doing his thing.
Yeah.
Like no other. I've never seen Jamal Murray play like this, even in the bubble.
Did you guys?
When you saw Jamal Murray in the bubble, he was going crazy. He's just replicating it now.
Did you guys see that dude that was on TikTok or Instagram and he was like crying? He was like a Lakers fan and he's like, we played Curry last series. Why are we playing him again? Because dude, Murray was literally playing and shooting the 3 ball better than Curry was last series. Which, I mean, Curry's obviously the greatest shooter of all time, but Murray literally was making like the craziest shots over people.
And
like,
same with Jokic.
Yeah,
same with Jokic.
How many of those like one-legged like fadeaway threes?
But my thing is that
he had 2 over Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
and he had 1 on LeBron.
Bro, that was
my
disgusting.
Thing,
Yeah,
I know it was a little bit of a travel though.
My thing is that we knew that Jokic was going to be a problem going into this series. Now, I will eat my words. Before this series started, I said that AD would be able to stop. What's it called? Denver, and I said that their defense and their team as a whole would be able to stop Jokic from going off. But what I did say, which I was right about, is that the only way that Nuggets do pull through is if other guys on that team pull through. And Jamal Murray didn't just pull through, he played out of his mind. And that's, I think, the biggest reason why they won. Because in some of those first early games, AD and LeBron were able to hold Jokic to a little under. But when you put in Jamal Murray and he drops 35 and can shoot 7 for 7 in the fourth quarter, you know, it's impossible to guard that, and it's impossible to kind of clinch your way back.
Yeah. So the game when you said they were able to hold Jokic a little bit under, are you talking about the game when he had 34 points, 21 rebounds, and 4 assists?
No.
Or the game when he had 23, 17, and 12?
Yeah, bro, that was crazy.
How okay is that
game where he had 34, 21, and 14? Like, dude was literally doing everything he possibly could. Like, that's just straight up domination.
But you know what?
Generational stat lines.
I don't. But you know what? Here's the thing, right?
And nobody's talking about.
No. But here's the thing, right? 20. Okay, so just real quick. So you said like the game where they held him. 21 points can be scored in the early part of the half, and then you can go on a dry run and not score in the second half. So, I mean, they could have held him.
Points.
Huh?
He didn't have 21 points. He had 21 rebounds.
How many points did he have?
34.
No, the other game, the 23 points then. My point is that I'm saying that late in the fourth quarter, if it wasn't game 1 or game 2, I remember watching and being like, okay, they're doing really good on defense when it comes late into the game, which is important, which I do feel like we can't just base all of our opinions on the whole, or the game as a whole, but also like how well they played in the first half versus the second half. A point of that is that like everyone was sucking Jason Tatum off when he had that game where he scored like 3 in the first quarter, 17 in the fourth quarter. Remember that?
You're talking about game 7 against
I think
Philly?
so. Yeah. Crazy. It wasn't game 7 though. I think it was like game 6.
I think you're talking about game 7, right?
But game 6 against Boston and Philly is when Jason Tatum had 3 points going into the fourth and had 16 in the fourth.
Okay.
Game 7, he had like 50.
Right. Okay. But the game right before that, what I was gonna say is that like people were like, oh my God, Jason Tatum, like one of the best in the world, like able to score 17 points in the fourth quarter. Jamal Murray had a better performance than what's it called? Than Jason Tatum did that series.
I think he's been playing better this whole playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. But people again just aren't giving the Nuggets, their flowers and acknowledging that. But I'm glad that you agree. Yeah.
No, and the thing too is teammates to average 25 plus points per game on 50% field goal and 40% 3% or from the 3 in the conference finals is Steph Curry and Durant. They did in 2017, and Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray just did it against the Lakers.
Yeah.
So, and I think Jamal Murray is averaging 50. That stat line Curry had in the regular season, it's like 50, 40, 90 or something.
Yeah.
So Jamal Murray is doing that right now too as well.
He's shooting 50, 40, 90. That's very hard to do, first of all.
Yeah.
What is that? 50, 40, 90?
50% shooting from the field.
Okay.
40% from 3, 90% from free throw.
Okay. Damn.
Very, very hard to do.
Do people? I feel like Jokic was doing 50 for like 50-50, wasn't he?
No, I don't think Jokic has ever had a 50, 40, 90 season. KD had one this year too. I mean, it happens every year.
Oh, like a season. Oh,
yeah, throughout the course
in the playoffs.
But I think Jamal Murray is doing it either in the playoffs or he did it last round against the Lakers.
Gotcha.
It was something like that. I saw.
Okay, I understand. I mean, yeah, that's impressive for like Jamal Murray's not a role player, but he's not the number 1 guy in Denver. Now it's looking like they've got 2 really good athletes on there, which I think wasn't as big of a conversation before going into the series. Would you guys agree?
I don't know, bro. Like I said, this Denver team has just been balling out.
Yeah.
This whole playoff series. Jamal Murray's been doing his thing. I mean, there became a lot of worries when he had that injury 2 years ago, I believe, and he missed a whole year. Like, even I questioned, I was like, oh, I don't know if this dude's going to come back the same. Like, he had a pretty big injury. I still feel like he'll be great, but that level that he was hooping at before, he might be a slow down a little bit. And just absolutely not. Like, he's now playing at what it seems like a higher level. Like, this is definitely one of the best seasons he ever had. And the way he's playing in the playoffs is just crazy.
I'm real glad you brought that up, just because real quick I want to say, remember that video that I sent either you?
It was Michael Malone.
Yeah, the coach of Denver basically saying that Jamal Murray came to him after his injury and was very worried that he was going to get traded away or dropped or something like that. and they just put as much effort and energy as they could into making sure that he would be better in the next few years. And it pays off. I mean, you take care of your players. We've seen time and time again with the Warriors, self-preservation of a team and like building up the players that you have at home is the best way to win a championship, it seems like.
Right, definitely. I mean, we're kind of seeing the super team era die a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even last year, the two teams in the finals, Boston and
Warriors.
Golden State Warriors, those two teams were drafted.
Yeah.
Boston drafted this whole team. They drafted Smart, they drafted Tatum, drafted Brown.
Yeah.
I had some signings with the role players, but like you need that. Obviously, you're not going to draft the whole squad.
Right.
I mean, people have, but like I said, I mean, looking at the other side, the Eastern Conference, that series unfortunately isn't finished yet. Boston avoided getting swept last night, so Miami's now up 3-1. But now this series is something crazy because I'm very high on Jimmy Butler. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I knew that he was going to give Boston hell this series, but I was like, Boston's going to win. Yeah. Like they're an insanely good team. I feel like it's going to be very competitive. I was like, I probably got Boston at 6 or 7 again, like last year. Now I was wrong because Miami went up 3-0, which is just absurd at the fact that they were able to accomplish that.
They're
and
hungry.
I do think they are, man. They want
They're
it. They want it more than Boston. Boston's been a little inconsistent these playoff series. They haven't had a great series yet in these whole playoffs. Atlanta took them to 6 games. Philly took them to 7. And now if they do win this series, they're going to have to play another 7. And then turn around 2 days later and then play this red hot Denver Nuggets team who has a week and a half off.
Yeah.
They closed their series like what, 2-3 days ago. They don't play till June 1st. I believe that's like next Thursday or something.
Yeah.
They have a lot of time off. Boston, if they do advance to the finals, which they're not, they're gonna have to turn around right away and then head over to Denver and start playing. But yeah, like I said, this series has just been insane. Caleb Martin got good out of nowhere. Like I said, he was always a good role player, but this year's just playing straight up out of his mind, just watching the game. He literally scored like 10 points doing the same move. He would drive with his left hand and then do a versatile layup like this. He did it 4 times to Tatum. I saw him do it 4 freaking times.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you know what he's going to do? But he just kept scoring. And then obviously they got Duncan Robinson a little bit more involved recently. I mean, he's been kind of riding the bench, but in the 2 games that he got like more than 20 minutes, he put up like 15 to 20 points. Had 0 points yesterday, but that was kind of a down game for Miami. I didn't anticipate, like when they went up 3-0, I was like, all right, Boston's definitely going to get 1 game. Like, they're not going to get swept. Like that'd be tragic.
That's how I thought.
So I kind of anticipated Boston to get a win yesterday.
Yeah.
Wasn't really surprised. Neither were the Heat players. I mean, they were all smiling on the bench like after the game. Yeah. They're definitely not taking Boston for granted, but like they know where they're at. They're comfortable.
Yeah.
They have no problem going into Boston and playing. People are, because like the freaking yesterday, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, they both said, don't let us get 1.
Don't let us get
But you're down 3-0.
You know how funny it would have been though at Jimmy after the game in a press conference being like, hey, we didn't let it happen. We didn't let y'all get 1. That would have been sick.
Oh, dude, he would have had some funny shit, especially the timeout.
Yeah, the timeout on Al Horford.
Al Horford, dude.
I think
Draymond said he talks a lot of shit.
Yeah, he said he's a very sneaky trash talker.
Al Horford?
Yeah, sneaky trash talker.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You were talking about Miami.
I
was gonna say, okay, so I think the biggest question I have for Miami is if they're able to keep that chip on their shoulder without self-doubt. And the announcers were talking about it last night. Late into the 3rd quarter, Boston started to seem more like themselves and the team that had a really great regular season this year. And when that happens, Miami, you can see, that they weren't the best team this season. And it to me, it really just kind of comes down to confidence for them. I mean, they know, they've seen that they can play at the highest level and win games. But I think it just really comes down to whether or not they can all keep that chip on their shoulder and go into Boston and just close them out. I think it would be a tragedy if somehow Boston, clinched their way back into the finals, because I think at this point we all want to see just Heat versus Nuggets, and we're all kind of expecting
I predicted that.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
No, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you did.
But no, I mean, like I said earlier with Jaylen Brown and the remarks that him and Marcus Smart made, like don't let us go back to Boston, don't let us get 1. Miami already beat you twice in Boston.
Yeah,
you morons. They have no problem going back to Boston, bro. No problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely no problem. I literally just got back from Boston
Yeah.
yesterday, 2 days ago, yesterday, whenever the hell it was, visiting my brother out there. I remember being out at the bars, like we would just be out, the game would be on. That city gave up. The bars were dead.
Yeah.
I remember I was it was game two, it was game one. There was like 2 minutes left in the game. Miami was up, they were gonna win. And the bartender was struggling, bro. Like he looks at me and he was like, I don't get it. I was like, what's wrong, man? Talk to me. And he was like, the city gave up. He said, like, look how dead it is in here.
Yeah.
Like the playoff run that they had, the city gave up. Like they don't believe him anymore. And I was like, yeah, I don't either. Miami in 4. And so he didn't like that either. I remember, yeah.
Did you guys know that the only one of like in okay, so in the MLB, there's only been one time in a playoff series that a team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit, and
Boston
it was
Red Sox.
Yeah, the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
So Boston's historic for coming back from 3-0 deficit.
Boston baseball, and it happened once.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear this
It happened
bullshit
once.
that like we're destined for this.
Yeah,
No,
no.
you're destined. You'll be in Cancun with LeBron after tomorrow.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy your offseason. Jaylen Brown's gonna go get a bag with the New York Knicks. It's over.
Hey, did you see Jason Tatum?
No,
Hey,
not the-
did you see Jason Tatum walking in and he had like some like designer brand on him? It said like Nahamas or
Yeah.
something. And
Charles
I was-
Barkley. Does that say Bahamas?
Does that say Bahamas?
He already bought his plane ticket. He was like, I will just get one game. Like, why not?
yeah,
But yeah,
but
it's
hey,
over.
that's bad. You know it's bad when your whole city gives up on you.
Yeah.
If your whole city gives
Looks
up
like
on
they
you,
gave
bro,
up, man.
Which is
that-
surprising because Boston fans, I feel like, have always been pretty
yeah,
reliable for them somewhat.
hey, that's bad, bro.
Yeah, no.
Like, no, that's crazy.
Well, we
But
were talking about, we were watching a game, you and I think, and we were saying that Miami was kind of doing the same thing. Oh, but that was a
No.
Sunday game.
yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
and it was late. It was like
Yeah.
10:40.
It was like 10:50, yeah, so that
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything, but yeah.
But I wanted to say about Miami too is their 3-point percentage has went up like increased drastically. They went from 27th and 3-point percentage as a team in the regular season, and now they're first in 3-point percentage in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So everybody's been shooting pretty good for them. And Jason Tatum this playoffs he's been first in turnovers and first in missed shots. And and for a couple games in that series, he couldn't make a fourth quarter shot, and you need that from like he just scored that 50 points, and you're telling me he's not going to score in the fourth quarter. You need him to come out and play those games. And I don't know. I think just like overall, like them with Joe Mazzulla, like that guy's just weird. I think they need to get him out of Boston. I don't think he's that great of a head coach either.
Bro, this is what I don't like about like when a good team starts losing is everyone's so quick to blame the coach. And I remember talking with some other people and just seeing stuff online, like, oh, like why don't you guys like Joe Mazzulla, this and that? And they're like, he's not getting the team motivated, this and that. Bro, these are professional NBA players that are getting paid too much goddamn money. The coach has to get you motivated. No, bro, the coach isn't out there taking these shots, running these plays. That's you. You need to get yourself motivated. You're a professional NBA player. You guys made the finals last year. You're going to blame the coach for not getting your guys ready to play. And I saw him take blame after game 3. He goes, I didn't have my guys ready to play today. That's not your job, bro.
Well,
That's their job. They had themselves be ready and be prepared. I don't like how he took blame for that. For Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum going out there looking so unmotivated in game 3. Game 3 was embarrassing, bro. I was watching it. I turned it off. I was like, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Just watching them, their shot selection. Jaylen Brown wasn't that great yesterday either. He only had 15 points. Just so inaggressive, just settling. I've said it for the past like couple of years now. I don't like how much Jason Tatum just settles for like a deep 3, this and that, but like just how he plays. And he got the hang of it a little bit yesterday, but we kind of saw it with this series too. Like it's just
No, I'm not quick to like. I'm not like one of those being like, oh, we need to fire the head coach. But I just don't think he's a great fit in Boston in like general, because it seems like with I can't pronounce his name. Ime was
Ime Udoka.
Yeah, with him, I feel like they were a well put team. They were well coached under him, and I felt like he led them to a deeper playoff run in that finals, and it seemed like they had their shit together last year. This year, I feel like once they got the playoffs, they just lost it, and he just hasn't been able to regroup that team.
So I think for anybody to question how motivated a coach is kind of like weird. to me, because if there's anybody's position on that team that's in jeopardy, it's the coach. You know, the starting 5 guys, even if they have a terrible season, they're probably still going to end up in a 2-year, 1-year contract where they can make it up. An NBA coach, if you lose out one of those top spots in the NBA, now you're, in a completely different tax bracket, basically. And it does come down to money to me, because they obviously have to support their families and things like that. So their contracts are heavily dependent on how much success they see. So if there's anybody on their roster that's wanting to, well, not their roster, but if there's anybody on that team in that organization that wants to win, it's that coach. Now I will say that, going into these playoffs on the podcast, I have said repeatedly that, like, I jokingly said Tatum's a bum. I've said Jaylen Brown's the #1 guy in Boston and things like that. Now, after seeing, this series and how we had talked about how many questions there are going to be for Boston if they lose this series, which now we have to have that conversation. I'm starting to realize more or less, Tatum's young. Tatum's extremely young for playing in these games against the NBA's elite pedigree. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
can I quickly say something?
Yeah,
real quick? So Curry and LeBron were both 27 when they won their first championship.
Yeah.
MJ and KD were 28.
Yeah.
And Jason Tatum's 25. He's already had a finals appearance and 4 Eastern Conference finals.
Yeah, no, his career is insane, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, like to your point, like his career so early on has been incredible, but experience matters. And Jimmy has such a chip on his shoulder. He thinks that he is literally better than everyone in the NBA, and you need that. You know what I mean? And I don't think Tatum has that. I think Tatum knows that he's good, which is why he can drop 50 points in a game 7, but he just maybe doesn't have enough confidence to say, I'm going to take this team, I'm going to take that shot. And when he does take that shot, sometimes he's even, unlucky and he can't make it. So I don't know. I think I'm not taking back everything that I said. Obviously the Tatum jokes are still funny. He's still going to be in Cancun in a few days and all that other stuff. But I'm definitely starting to more so lean on the side of, okay, he's young. You know what I mean? We got to, this kid is something special. I'm not saying I'm done hating on him, but I'm, more or less like, okay, this kid's great. He just needs a little bit more time in the NBA.
That's what I think as well too, is like I love his game. I think he's a great player, and I think he's gonna be the face, like one of the faces of the league in the future after like a couple of these superstars start retiring and stuff. I think he's gonna have a great future ahead of him, and he probably will have some championships as well.
If Boston had that same level of like want and hunger as they did last year, as they did this year, I feel like they would easily be the NBA champions. Last year, you could tell they wanted it.
Yeah.
This year, they felt like they deserved it.
Yeah.
You can't lose that.
Yeah.
And also back to what we were saying about the head coach. I mean, like, what do you expect? The head coach is 34 years old. Joe Mazzulla, he played against Jimmy Butler in college.
That's crazy.
Think about that. Jimmy Butler's as old as him. Al Horford's older than him. And he's a rookie head coach. He took the job kind of on short notice, too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Ime got exposed. And he got exposed like a little bit before the season started. So he took the job right there.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's running the same system that Ime Udoka had. I mean, like, why wouldn't you at that point? Obviously, you can't do it as effective, but like rookie head coach, 34 years old, there's going to be some growing pains.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
They're experiencing it right now. And like I said, I don't think they're going to get it done. There's this one kid on TikTok. He like runs a podcast. Can't remember his name. His first name's Jack. I can't remember his last name. And I don't want to say anything controversial, but this kid kind of proves that you can have little ball knowledge and have a successful podcast. So like, first off, like he said right when the series started, he's like, get the brooms ready, Boston's sweeping Miami.
Oh,
complete opposite. Yeah, that kid. He called Tatum the greatest one-on-one player ever. He said Tatum's going to be the greatest player ever. Bro. Like, I would just watch his kids' videos. I was like, you're so wrong, just like with everything. He said Boston's going to come back from being down 3-0, this and that. And Tatum's going to win a ring, solidify himself as the best player ever after this season. He's like, Tatum's already the best this and that, best basketball player we've ever seen. And I was like, no, like that's
Boston. That's Boston's fan syndrome, though.
I don't even think he's a Boston fan, though. Like, I think
he just with Jason Tatum.
Yeah, like how Jason Tatum is to Kobe, he's like that to Jason Tatum, but worse. So much worse.
I don't know, man.
But a lot of people are kind of worried because the NBA is fuming right now. They wanted Lakers Celtics
Oh, they
finals.
did, yeah.
No one expected Denver Miami, but bro, Denver Miami is better because you have this Denver team that's just been so close at being able to make the finals these past couple of years, and now they finally got it done. This is the best Denver Nuggets team we've seen in the past 4 or 5 years. Their offense is just crazy.
Maybe even ever.
Yeah, probably ever. Yeah, they've never made the finals before, so this is definitely the best Denver Nuggets team. On top of that, you have a Miami Heat team with one of the greatest playoff performances ever.
Yeah.
Ratings are not going to go down. I feel like they're going to be crazy if we get
Yeah.
a Miami Denver.
No, for real
series.
hoopers, the ratings won't go down. Like if
No,
it's like everybody just wants to see the Lakers in the finals. That's what it is.
Lakers Celtics. Because Lakers Celtics, it would have broke the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Screw that. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want to see two teams go at it like crazy, and those teams would have went at it. But I want to see two teams that are hungry and wanting more go at it.
Yeah.
Because both of those guys are chasing their first rings. Obviously, Boston would have as well. All those guys. But Jimmy Butler, obviously, we know he wants a ring. He definitely, I think, I don't want to say deserves a ring, but I would love to see him win a ring. And obviously, Jokic winning a ring would already solidify himself as one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
Oh,
His resume is already crazy. Back-to-back MVPs, winning a Finals MVP, and then already having a ring.
30-something.
Not many players have done that. Have won multiple MVPs, a ring, and a Finals MVP. So I would already put him in a conversation. He got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial.
Yep.
Quesarito.
Yeah. Dude, I saw that commercial and it made me hungry, and it was just like so funny. Well, it's not even just that it made me hungry. Well, obviously it made me, yeah, I am always hungry. But it was also just like the fact that the way that they were describing like the burrito, they're like 5 layers of queso or something like that. It was just like hilarious because I could see in my head like the picture of Jokic, and like had we known like what he was gonna be, like it would just made it that much funnier.
He was taken very late in his draft. I mean, no one expected him to be good. I mean, I didn't even know him.
Denver didn't expect him to be good. I don't.
Well, I saw something say Michael Malone in the press conference. He was like, "Well, he came in. No, he's like, if anybody told you that this kid was gonna be breaking Wilt Chamberlain's records and stuff, he's like, they're lying through their teeth."
Yeah.
He's like, he came in 300 pounds out of shape in the like summer camp and stuff.
Yeah.
And dude, this team's deep too, man. Like and it's crazy to me that they only play an 8-man rotation.
Yep. They play a lot of guys.
Dude, they have DeAndre Jordan and Thomas Bryant on the bench.
Yep.
And dude, have you guys seen DeAndre Jordan and Nikola Jokic act like when they're together, like how they act? Bro, they just like kiss each other. like the cheek kissing.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And then when they were all taking pictures after the West Conference Finals, after they won it, dude, they just like kept going back at each other. They're like, like that, bro. You gotta see the video. It's funny as hell.
I don't know. Jokic is a character, man. He's funny.
You don't
say that like at like the moment off season hit, like the moment he wins a championship, he's going home to ride horses and drink beer.
Yeah.
He's not going to fucking Disneyland or any of that shit. I'm going home and I'm drinking beer and riding my horses.
Yeah.
The work that he has to put in, I would do the same thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like he literally has to go into every single game and put up generational stat line. Generational. It's absurd.
No, it's 2K game numbers.
It's really is.
I was putting this up in my my career game.
It's my career. I wasn't even doing that.
No, yeah. I could put 2K23 on 12-minute quarters downstairs, and we still wouldn't touch his numbers like scoring, even if you just gave him
you
the
must
ball.
stop that if you
If
you can't get that in 12-minute quarters,
dude, right?
No, it's like I said, but no, the playoffs have been crazy. I'm really pulling through for a Denver Miami playoff series because I feel like that would be the most entertaining.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I mean, okay, so 2 things. Number one, I want to ask, do you guys think that if Boston had came out of this series against Miami and won it, and they were as hungry as last year, and let's say they had the perfect situation and having still Udoka, how do you say his name?
Ime Udoka. Right?
Yeah.
You can pronounce shit better than me. I can't. I'm the worst at pronouncing names. I can't.
Oh yeah, but you can say Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I can spell it too.
Damn, that's insane. He's like, I can spell it properly backwards. Say it in Chinese. No. What was I gonna say? Gosh damn it.
If they had this team like
basically if Boston had everything going right for them, do we still think that they could beat this Denver team? I don't think so. honestly, I don't
I don't
know.
think so either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I don't know.
what
I
I'm
don't know.
saying.
I
It's insane.
Because there's no one on that. Boston, they're not very big.
Mhm.
The person on that team that averages the most rebounds is Tatum. And like, bro, Tatum's not guarding Jokic. Rob Williams is a great defender, but Jokic would have his way with him because he definitely cannot guard Jokic out there. So thinking of who they probably put Al Horford on him, but he would eat Al Horford alive.
Well, like my thing too is like
They
if
got
you
the-
were to put Boston or Miami against the Warriors, against the Lakers, against the Suns, against any of those teams, they would get. I think that would be like a really intense series. You would see a lot of back and forth, no matter who goes in there. But the fact that you have Denver, a team that made the Lakers look like they weren't anything. The Lakers made the Warriors look like they weren't anything, and the Suns already got beat by Denver. So I mean, yeah, this Denver team is just looking really strong, and the West as a whole looks, I mean, really really good.
Yeah, they got the best offense in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
The Nuggets.
No,
I don't think the Celtics will stop them.
Yeah.
no, it's definitely not this year. I definitely this team is just way too strong, bro. I mean, like just the way their role players are playing.
Yeah.
Bruce Brown was a huge pickup for them.
And KCP,
KCP's in there, he's doing his thing. Michael Porter Jr.
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon's playing pretty well. Michael Porter Jr. is hitting 2-3 threes a game. He's hitting his shots, averaging 18 this season.
Is Caldwell Pope still on the Nuggets too?
Yeah,
KCP.
KCP.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, I'm very excited for these finals. I can't wait to see Denver playing these finals. I feel like they're just gonna kick it up a notch, kick it into another year. They're ready, man. They've been waiting for it. They're finally there, and I don't think they're gonna waste the opportunity. I
You
think
say
they
Miami?
definitely,
You say Miami?
Denver.
Oh,
I think they definitely beat whoever comes out of the East. They play Miami. I think they definitely beat them. If they beat Boston, if they play Boston, I think they definitely beat them as well.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I
so
think it's gonna go to like 6 or 7, man.
good. Very
it's
much.
gonna it's gonna be such a kick. I feel like I don't know. I mean, I'm not like I haven't always been a big basketball fan, but as you know, living so close to Chicago and we've known Jimmy Butler. We've been talking about Jimmy Butler since we were in elementary school. So and even before that, some of us, but like
Yeah, we're not that old, man.
I know we're not that old here. Well, Kevin might be. Who knows? What's it called?
Yeah, we all graduated in the same high school class. We're turning your mic off.
Yeah.
Uh,
No. But you know, it would be really nice to see Jimmy win a championship as a Chicago fan. You know, he brought a lot of hype back to Chicago after D Rose's injury, and it was an exciting time in Chicago. So you want to see him be successful. But if there's any good thing that comes out of this series of them facing arguably one of the best teams we've seen in the last few years in the Nuggets team, I think Miami will be pretty well set for next year because I can't think of a lot of players that wouldn't want to, go to Miami. I mean, nice city, 15-year veteran coach, just established that they are a really good in-depth team. I don't think I don't think any big personality should go to Miami. Damian Lillard, I think would bump heads with Jimmy too much. I think they would go head to head way. I'm telling you, I mean, I could be wrong, but this is just my opinion. I think that they would bump heads too much, and I think that would just be a problematic duo all the way around. I think Jimmy needs somebody that's going to support him well and accent his game well and play well, but he doesn't need another number one guy. I think that's too intense. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say Jimmy Butler wants to play more like a playmaker. He wants to do whatever it takes to win a ring. And I don't think him and Damian Lillard would like collide heads necessarily. I mean, I think he'd be fine being the second option on that team.
Really?
Yeah, he wants to win. He doesn't care what it takes.
Yeah, but I think he still cares about who is getting the last shot of that game, and he still wants to be that
Okay,
guy.
they can give it to him if they want. Like,
But then he's not the second option, or he doesn't want to be the second.
I'm not saying that he wants to be like the second option or not.
Right.
He's willing
He's
to
willing
do.
to accept that role.
Yeah, whatever it takes, man. Like, I think. What do you think about Damian Lillard being?
I think it would work.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that Damian Lillard can play with other All-Stars. He played with CJ McCollum for a while, and they had some success. They had like a couple years where they were like very high seed.
CJ McCollum.
Huh?
No, I'm just fucking.
Not say it, please.
No, I mean CJ McCollum's an all-star, yeah, but he's not Jimmy Butler.
He's not Jimmy
Oh, he was
Butler.
great, though.
He's not Jimmy Butler. He's CJ McCollum, and they had great years in Portland. Years where they almost made the conference finals, but lost to the Warriors, unfortunately. We know Jimmy Butler can play with other All-Stars as well. He plays with Bam. He can play with other guards. So I feel like it would work. they could definitely use something. The thing that Miami lacks is they don't have, other than Jimmy Butler, they don't have that guy to go get them a bucket. That's not Jimmy Butler. Now, Damian Lillard, being him, he can definitely do that. He can fill that role. He's a great playmaker as well. Not a great playmaker, but he's a good enough playmaker. On top of that, he can also shoot the hell out of the ball.
Yeah.
So I feel like it'd be perfect. The only thing I'm worried about, though, with that trade, if it does happen, is Miami giving up too much of their depth and their good role players. Like Strus is very good for that team. Gabe Vincent is very good for that team. Tyler Hero, like fuck them, they can do without him. It's funny. I think it was one of the Van Gundy brothers. They said they need Tyler Hero to come back so we can stop seeing his trash fits on the sideline. And that's facts.
Bro,
That is all facts.
That's crazy.
I think it was Stan Van Gundy.
That's
It was Stan Van Gundy said that. He said it during the game the other day too. It was hilarious. He literally said it during the game. Like it was that it's very true.
That's more Stan of saying that than Jeff. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Flashback to earlier, like this season and last year season when like people were like, "Oh, Tyler Hero's the best guy in Miami and shit like that because he was shooting the ball well." You remember that?
Nope, that never happened.
You don't think Tyler Hero being like that guy in Miami?
No. Come on, man.
He was. There was like a small brief period of time where Tyler Hero was playing really well and like no one was talking about Jimmy basically for a few months.
False.
Maybe
If you could show me these, I'll resign my position as a host on the show.
Give me your computer. Badass.
Come get it. It's right there actually. Or it was it's right there.
Tyler Hero drops 20 points in game. Hero sanity.
You could maybe drop 20 points in like a 5th grade game.
Directly.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, pretty exciting offseason ahead of us. Kyrie Irving apparently reached a handshake deal for $200 million with Dallas. I think that's pretty good. I mean, him and Luka played pretty well together in Dallas. When Kyrie actually halfway through the season when he went to Dallas, he was actually averaging more points than he was in Brooklyn, assists, rebounds, and he was shooting better. So these two can definitely play with each other. I mean, we know Luka Doncic can play with other All-Stars. Well, we didn't actually know that, but like him and Jalen Brunson played very well with each other last year before he signed with New York. And we obviously know Kyrie can play with other All-Stars. I mean, he's NBA champion. He played with LeBron. He played with Celtics all those years, and he played with KD.
And Harden.
And Harden. But the main thing that this Dallas Mavericks team needs is defense. They do not have any defense. Christian Wood can't really play that well in defense. Luka Doncic, his defense is probably the weakest point of his game. Kyrie can defend, but like you said, like Kyrie can't be your best defender. Yeah. They do have Reggie Bullock, who probably is their best on-ball defender, but that can't be your best on-ball defender if you want to win.
Yeah.
So I think they need to definitely make some moves and trying to acquire someone that can play a little bit better defense. I know they talked about re-signing Dwight Powell. Dwight Powell's pretty good. He goes in there, he does his thing. But like I said, you need a little bit more for this team to succeed. I definitely do want to see this team succeed. You know, Kyrie's one of my favorite players. I love Luka. They can play together. They can both score with each of them in there. So yeah, I think defense is definitely the main thing that Dallas Mavericks need to focus on after giving Kyrie all that money.
I agree with that too, but we know what a handshake deal means. Like it's not confirmed, and we know Kyrie in the past, he's not a very man of his word.
If there's one player to be skeptical about with a handshake deal, it's Kyrie Irving. That's or KD probably too.
Because he still could possibly land in LA.
You know who I would like to see in Denver, and let me know if you guys agree. Dallas, yeah. What's it called? Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown could be a good addition if Kyrie wasn't there anymore. I think Kyrie's place. I mean, I would like to see Kyrie Irving go to the Lakers just so that way LeBron can finally get what he wants and see if he can win a championship. If he can't, then I'll concede. And I mean, you know, me and Kevin had this conversation like last night. I think I said like LeBron, or maybe it was with you, Vic, but I was like, LeBron, it seems like hasn't had enough, you know, in a lot of portions of his season, whether it be through not an experienced coach and a very young guy, or maybe just not enough players supporting him in Cleveland, little things here and there that have just contributed to roadblocks in his success.
Bro, he's had more than enough.
And a lot of people would disagree with that and say that he's had more than enough. But all I'm saying is that I would like to see Kyrie Irving play with the Lakers and see if that three with AD or with that Lakers team and LeBron could potentially pull off one more for him. I think 2 is kind of out of the question for him at this age. I think 1 is possible. But yeah, I was gonna say, I think Dallas Mavericks could use somebody like Jaylen Brown as opposed to Kyrie Irving. That way, like you said, you can have a little bit more of a defensive playmaker, somebody that can go get you a bucket, but somebody that contributes to them improving their defense. I like Jaylen Brown on there, and then just get a better big man. I think going into the
definitely. I think Dallas would be a pretty fire spot for Jaylen Brown to land, but I feel like he might sign over to New York because New York's definitely looking for that guy that they need, and they definitely prove that they can play.
Yeah.
I mean, they took Miami pretty deep into the playoff series. They have their guy in their point guard, Jalen Brunson. They have a good big man. They have pretty good young pieces around them. Hopefully Julius Randle leaves, just pisses off somewhere. Hopefully in Taiwan with Dwight Howard. I think they got some spots over there. But yeah, like I said, I know we talked about it, I think in our last episode, about them potentially signing Cat, which please don't do that in New York, for Christ's sake. You guys don't have the best history with landing big stars, but Cat is not who you need. Jaylen Brown is who you need. And I feel like he can definitely land over there. Another spot that I could probably see Jaylen Brown going to is probably like Cleveland too. I feel like he can be another good addition over there with because they're kind of missing like that wing player that they need. Isaac Okoro is pretty good, but like Jaylen Brown is light years better. So I feel like that could be a good spot to land. I don't know if that's been like rumored or if they're even targeting him or not. But like I said, I feel like New York, Dallas, Cleveland would be good spots for Jaylen Brown.
I like New York the best.
I agree. New York would probably be the best too for him. He could be a number 1 option over there, definitely. With Jalen Brunson. I think that'd be fire. But
you think it's a done deal? Jaylen Brown's out of Boston.
If they don't win this series, I would probably guess Jaylen Brown's out.
Yes, for sure.
I would probably assume.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I mean, he feels like he could be the number 1 option on another team and win. Boston, he's not the number 1 option, and they're not winning with their number 1 option. So why would you stay?
Yeah.
I mean, they've made the conference finals and had deep playoff runs ever since him and Tatum have gotten there. So like at this point, if you don't get it done now, like what makes you think it's going to get done in the future? It definitely can, but it's tough. Like the West is tough. Like you said, Denver is pretty much on the rise at this point, it seems like. But yeah, with Kyrie hopefully signing back with Dallas for that $200 million contract, we'll see how that plays out for the rest of the free agency. Another part of free agency that's getting talked about a lot is where James Harden going to go. A lot of things he might have a reunion back with Houston, which sure, man, go ahead, go back there.
I saw some stuff with even Phoenix as well.
Yeah, I did see that too. Which that'd be horrible. That'd be so bad for them. They would not win. But he is getting he's getting $200 million contract offers with other teams. They didn't really specify which teams were offering $200 million, but those teams need to take that $200 million back. James Harden's great. He's obviously not the same James Harden he was in Houston a couple of years ago, but it's still James Harden. Like we got to recognize this. $200 million, that's a little bit too much, but it's the name that they're paying for. It's James Harden.
I agree with that.
That's what it is.
That's well said, man.
He's not a $200 million player, but it's a $200 million name. That's what it is.
So $200 million for a year?
Probably 5.
5.
Probably 5 year.
Well, so the thing is that,
and that's probably be where he'd finish his career if he signs a 5-year contract. He's so 33 if he doesn't ask for another trade.
So this is the statement that I think I made to Victor and Justin a few nights ago, which is that I think when it comes to that contract, James Harden, maybe you're right, doesn't necessarily deserve $200 million, but if they're willing to offer Austin Reeves close to 150, then I think, give James Harden the 200. Because if you're saying that Austin Reeves is worth $50 million less than James Harden, over the course of I think 4 years instead of 5, that says a lot. And I don't think those two are even close. I think James Harden is an established all-star in the game, somebody that has proven time after time that he is a really elite basketball player. And compared to Austin Reeves, it's night and day to me.
Yeah, I'd rather pay Austin Reeves 150 than paying Harden $200 million. Yeah, I'd way rather. He's younger. You can. I mean, you're paying less money. You're still paying a shit ton of money for Austin Reeves. I definitely wouldn't pay him 150 mil. Don't even think I'd pay him 100 mil. But like I said, I'd rather sign Austin Reeves right now than sign James Harden. James Harden can't win.
I don't like the hype around Austin Reeves. I think that if he stays in LA, he'll still have a good season, but anywhere else, he dies as a player.
I agree. Like if he goes and signs somewhere else, you're probably never going to hear from him again. I mean, he is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but like he's on the most famous team in the NBA, and he plays with LeBron James.
Yeah,
LeBron has always had that cold white boy on his team.
Well, he's definitely earned.
That's
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love, Caruso, Mike Miller. He's always had one.
Who was it in Miami?
Miami, probably Mike Miller.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Do you know who Mike Miller is?
I think this is with the headband, right? He always wore a headband.
He even had dude, what was that dude's name? Shane Battier.
Shane Battier was
Yeah,
Zydrunas Ilgauskas in the early Cleveland days.
Yeah.
You know, you remember?
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say because like that was like before like we like got like really into basketball. That was like back in the day. So, but that was his other cool white boy in Cleveland.
But I was gonna say though,
Kyle Kuzma.
oh Harden with what were we just talking about? The $200 million.
Yeah, $200 million. What point about like paying someone else that amount of money?
150 million.
Where he could possibly go. Thing is, like, other than Houston, I really just don't know where else he can go.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So, all right, so Harden, I don't think he's that same player that he was back in the Houston days. It seems like
Definitely not.
to me, it feels like he doesn't really care about basketball as much as he did when he was in those Houston days.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like to me watching him play now. Like, don't get me wrong, he's like this new playmaker role that he has. It's
Right.
good, but I don't think it's enough for him to be going out there and helping them win games with Philly. I think he needs to be doing more, like putting up 45 points like he was doing.
yeah.
But
when he was putting up 45 points though in Houston, he was still being a good playmaker. He was still putting up triple doubles, getting 10 assists. But now he's trying to put up 20 assists.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you're one of the best one-on-one scorers ever. Score.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not aggressive enough.
The third all-time in threes.
That's crazy.
A lot of people don't even know that.
Yeah. And what I was gonna say too is like, all right, so we see a different James Harden coming into playoffs.
Yeah.
So in the playoffs, he's averaging, regular season, he's going to the line a lot, and then once playoffs comes, they're not calling those fouls a lot.
Yeah.
So do you think that is a big impact to why he wouldn't be, or that's why Philly didn't go as far as they could have, because he's not getting those calls?
I mean, I don't even think it's just not the fact that he's getting those calls. Obviously, he's not that number one option in Philly like he was with like Houston all those years. It's Joel Embiid's team pretty much. But he just was playing so inaggressive, and he was trying to pass a lot more and play through Embiid and shooting a lot more threes. He wasn't driving into the lane. I mean, he was, but not as much as he did in like Houston and this and that. I'm very glad you said that though, because the Philadelphia 76ers got exposed. Look what happens when Embiid and Harden don't shoot 40 freaking free throws per game.
Yeah.
Embiid puts up 15 points in the elimination game. Harden puts up 9.
Wait, hold on.
Fraudulent.
But didn't
I can't stand that team.
Wait,
free throw merchants. That's what they are.
Didn't James Harden have a monster few games though?
He did games where he shot the ball, put up 20 shots a game, and he
Yeah.
made 16 of them,
So-
45 points. That's what they need him to do, bro.
So I was gonna say,
They
I
won.
don't think it's as much as the going to the line thing. I think it's what you said, which is that he doesn't care enough.
I think
he
it's
doesn't-
both.
Yeah, but like I said,
aggressive.
but when he does play, okay, yeah, fair enough, right? When he does play aggressive and everything, like he has those monster games like he did in Philly and otherwise. But I think, like you said, more to your point, I think he just doesn't want to ruin a ring as much as the league does. You know what I mean? And I'm starting to realize now. You know how like there's so many players in the NBA that say like there's some guys out there that just don't care.
Yeah, we were talking about this last.
That they're probably talking about James Harden. I was like thinking for a while, like who's a big name that they could be talking about? I just like James
He
Harden.
doesn't want to win.
Dude, I saw
Yeah,
a
definitely.
sick shirt that said Shanghai Tigers, and it has Ben Simmons, Jordan Poole.
Yeah, I saw.
It has all of them, dude. It's so
Dwight
I
Howard
want.
probably.
Yeah, I think so. But it was another person that we're talking to, or talking about right
Man,
now.
that's pretty fire sure. I'm not gonna lie.
I want one.
But yeah, I'm in on Paul George's podcast. He had DeMar DeRozan episode, and they talked about it. I remember we talked about it too. Paul George making those comments about how some guys just don't care to win.
Yeah.
And Paul George and DeMar DeRozan, they're also saying, I thought it was like funny because remember LeBron sent out a tweet a couple months ago on how he said Bronny is already better than some NBA guys, and Paul George and DeMar DeRozan, they're like, yeah, we agree. There's a lot of sorry motherfuckers in this league.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty funny. I wonder, I could probably name 50 players that they were talking about.
Probably.
They said there was at least 75 to 100 of them.
Yeah, it's a lot, bro. Like,
Yeah.
that's
There's only 450 NBA players.
yeah. I think I could definitely name. I can name 100 people that suck off the rip.
Yeah. That's just so crazy. The skill like that. There's even a skill gap within the NBA because we've talked about before like how much of a skill gap there is from high school to college,
Yeah.
college to D1 college, and D1 college to like big organizations like Bama and Duke and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you go a jump step further, and it's overseas and then NBA.
G League and then there's NBA.
And then within the NBA, there's guys that literally say that there's 100 guys that are just not good enough. Either.
Yeah.
That's
Like I
crazy.
said, you can be great somewhere else, but when you get to the level, you just can't hang around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where because anyone in the NBA can score,
Yeah.
can put up 30 points. But when you're playing against a bunch of other guys that can do the same thing, can you hold your own? I think a lot of people can't. I mean, a lot of people can't. I mean, it's just how it is.
Yeah, there's levels to this shit.
There is levels,
really
big
is.
levels to this. So yeah, I feel like that was like really funny, like watching them talk about it and like admit it. They're like, there's probably 100 people in this league that just suck. They're sorry.
Concern. That's why the last decade you've seen the same few guys. I've said this before. Same few guys go to the championship. It's been Curry, LeBron,
It's been like
Kawhi Leonard.
there's been a different finals champions for like the past 5 years, I think.
5 years, yeah. But it always is usually I'm saying like one of the guys that should be winning it, Giannis.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Like it's
like
never
the top 15 player. Yeah.
This will be if Miami can pull this off. This will be one of the first times that it happens in the last decade, I think. Because again, you had LeBron, you had Curry, you had Kawhi Leonard, you had KD, you had Giannis, and now you're getting, Jimmy Butler and an 8 seed team. That would be insane, but it's probably still not going to happen. But it would be cool if it did.
No, definitely.
I'm gonna pull a Victor and say that Miami's gonna win this series going into it, just for shits and games. If I'm right, I'm gonna be like, no.
No, I mean I didn't predict anything crazy. We had 4 teams to pick from.
And you really didn't say like Miami's winning it for sure. You were like still on the
Yeah,
but you were like I like Miami's chance.
Yeah, that's basically how I felt.
Yeah.
But game 5 tomorrow, very excited about that. Definitely will be tuning in to see Jimmy Butler rip the heart out of that Boston crowd. It's gonna be sick. I can't wait. It's gonna be so exciting because we're gonna get a Denver-Miami series, and I think it's gonna be very entertaining. Probably one of the most entertaining final series that we've had in a long time. And if Miami wins a ring, I think that's definitely up there with most impressive rings. I think it's the most impressive. I think it's probably gonna be the most impressive ring. More impressive than Dirk's. I would argue because just like look who he beat. He beat the top 2 teams in the NBA this playoff series.
He beat arguably
the Bucks
and
Sixers.
Yeah.
Bucks and Celtics.
No, I mean, well, and
they were the top 2 teams in the NBA this year. They did their 2 best records.
And Denver was by far the best team in the West.
And they're a freaking 8 seed. That's never happened.
So if Miami could be the best team in the Western Conference, you could say that they won in a time period where the NBA was the most competitive across the board than it ever was. Because
definitely is.
Yeah, and I think me and
most
Victor,
talented.
Right, most talented, most skillful. Me and Victor were talking to Justin about like individual performance. Do you think that this would be the most do you think this would be an individualistic ring as like Dirk's? Like the way that we remember like, oh yeah, Dirk won a ring in, 2011 or whatever. Or do you think it'll be okay, let me rephrase. Do you think it's going to be similar to the way that we all say, 2011 Dirk's ring, Jimmy's ring this year? Or do you think it would be like an 8 seed, like, oh, that was just like the greatest 8 seed team ever?
Well, I feel like Jimmy Butler is like the main part of that, obviously, just because he's one of the greatest playoff performers ever. But like the way that Dirk played, obviously, he didn't have like the most help around him. But like he had an insane run, like he did. He played out of his mind, but also his role players are playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jimmy Butler. He's playing out of his mind, but everyone else around him is buying in and playing very well too. And people will definitely call it like Jimmy's ring, obviously, because he's the most popular player on that team.
For sure.
His mentality and just like the way he carries himself, it'll be the same conversation. I think they'd be referenced the same.
Yeah. That which makes me happy because I think Jimmy deserves that.
Earned it.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Earned it.
I like that because he played in
he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, he was homeless. He played at JUCO, I think, right, for a little bit. Made his way to Marquette. Played well there. Scrambled his way to get into the NBA, and I mean, the rest is history.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be fun, man. Denver, Miami playoffs. Denver in 6. Unfortunately, that's what's gonna happen. You heard it. But yeah, this was another episode of Good Morning Let's Basketball. We appreciate y'all tuning in for another episode. Should have one up by the end of the week as well. Follow all of our socials at Good Morning Let's Basketball, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as our personals. And we'll catch y'all next week.
Tonight.